Angela George always thought she'd have 2 children by the age of 30, but when the 28-year-old nurse and her husband, a Marine, learned last year she was pregnant, they were thrilled and petrified.
We didn't plan for it, and we're like, oh my, what are we gonna do? We were thinking, well, how are we gonna care for the baby financially? How are we gonna afford daycare? It was just too much.
That worry is common among parents and wannabe parents in California.
We don't have enough kids.
Dowell Myers is a professor of urban planning and demography at USC.
We're actually losing children. The birth rate is below replacement level, only 1.76 babies per woman. You need 2.1 to break even.
While birth rates are dropping around the United States, California's are dipping more.
The major factor that makes California different is housing prices. There's really not much else that's that different.
And that, he says, is a problem.
Those kids are important for all of us because those are our future taxpayers and workers and home buyers. And if you don't have those kids, I mean, who's going to buy my house? Who's going to pay the taxes to support me in my old age?
He says potential parents are under a lot of pressure these days. They have to launch their careers, pay off massive student loan debts, meet a mate, pay an astronomical price for a home that usually requires 2 incomes to handle a mortgage and property taxes.
And we want them to have kids too? Now you're asking too much. So something has to go. And what gets put off and delayed is the kids.
As soon as Angela George found out she was having a baby, she and her husband looked for a house to buy.
For us, we felt like we had to get a home for him.
They wanted a home in San Diego County's Oceanside, close to their jobs, but prices were out of reach. They found a house they could afford nearly 30 miles away in Murrieta in Riverside County. She says houses there were significantly cheaper, but
that created a long commute for me and my husband, but again, another stressor.
And with a new baby, they have to pay for daycare, a cost she says will eat up more than half of her paycheck.
And childcare from 0 to 5 in Southern California is as high as your rent.
San Diego financial planner Anthony Ferreira says the total cost of raising a child from birth until the age of 18 is nearly $250,000. He estimates it's significantly higher in some parts of the state.
Because the cost of housing, the cost of food, the cost of gas, the cost of everything here is so much higher.
Angela George recently gave birth to a baby boy. She'd still like to have a second child, but financially doesn't see a way to do it. 2 kids in daycare would be akin to taking on a second mortgage.
We're really thinking we should just have one, just have him and keep it as that. It breaks my heart. It really does.
Amita Sharma, KPBS News.